The guy who ate the whole poo-poo class. Okay.
Why are you cheering a guy eating a whole poo-poo class?
Well, I think you established why he's cheering right now.
Just making sure we're all on board. Okay.
All right. Excellent.
All right, yes.
Yeah. All right, so we have 3 more comedians here tonight. Is that cool with everybody?
Just thanks for coming to the stage, young lady who we started out together, right?
Yep.
She's in the Boston Comedy Festival this year.
Yep. And she's very funny. Please welcome Miss Sarah Blodgett.
Thank you. Ever since I can remember, I wanted to be an actress. I was very, very shy in high school. I didn't talk in class. I was just very introverted. But I had this thing where I really wanted to get involved with the drama club. And it's funny because my mother didn't really, or my parents kind of weren't all that cool with me doing extracurricular activities. They wanted me to focus on schoolwork and stuff. So when I told them, like, I want to join the drama club, because I was so shy, they were like, yeah, sure, because they really didn't think I was going to do it. So they were just like, okay, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I actually, because I went to a junior-senior high school, I went to see the show that they did in 7th grade, and I was like, I want to do this. 8th grade, I showed up at the door to the auditorium the day of, like, drama club orientation, had my hand on the door, and chickened out and left, and, like, just couldn't do it. So my freshman year, I was like, I'm doing this. So my freshman year, I went, and I was part of the drama club all through high school. I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, I just felt comfortable on stage. Like, that's just what I feel comfortable on stage. Like, that's where I'm the happiest, is when I can be performing and be on stage.
It's difficult being a female comic because, like, people are always trying to give me advice. And a lot of people have actually been telling me that in order to get famous, I should make a sex tape. Yeah, of course, by people, I mean mostly guys with camcorders.
When I do my comedy, I'm me. I mean, I'm almost too honest, I think, sometimes.
I looked up at the big screen and I saw Manny Ramirez. He had me at hola. It was totally love at first sight. I mean, not so much for him, because he hasn't seen me. But I'm pretty sure if he did see me that he would fall in love with me, because he's married and he doesn't speak English. Yeah. Those seem to be the 2 categories of men that I'm the most popular with. So, yeah.
I like to talk about experiences that are happening to me. At first, it was a little bit self-indulgent, like, this is what's happening to me, I want to tell people. But then I got to a point where, because there aren't a lot of women that go to see comedy shows, but there was a point where after shows, if there were women in the audience, especially like young single women, they would come up to me and be like, oh my God, it was like you were talking about me. I can relate to everything you're going through. So it kind of got to a point where I'm like, oh, if I'm going through this and I can make jokes about it and I can talk about it, there's other people that are going through the same thing that may want to relate to what I'm talking about.
Are you guys into clubbing? Woo! I don't mean like seals, I mean like dancing. Yes. Okay, for the guys in here, how many guys in here are into strip clubs? Woo! Okay, we know who's not getting laid tonight. Okay.
I mean, I grew up in Worcester, Massachusetts. Is not really a place where a lot of Hollywood people flock to. So I was discouraged by a lot of people about getting into sort of the acting business and performing, and so I kind of went on trying to find anything else that I would actually enjoy doing. I decided to go back to college at about 21, and I went back to school for communications, which is ironic. I didn't take any theater classes in college intentionally because I didn't want to catch the acting bug. And my very last semester in college, I took this class that was basically intro to video. It was like how to use a video camera. And it kind of turned into like an intro to filmmaking class. But I had no interest in being behind the camera or anything. So of course I'm like, hey, I want to be the star of all the movies.
No. Terrible. I have the worst luck with men. It's awful. Like, you know how guys complain that women talk too much? I went out with this guy, I swear to God, he talked so much that I used to like tune out and get distracted by my own cleavage. Ooh, there they are. Yeah. Ooh, eyes up here. Okay.
I was in the Miss Massachusetts, the Miss USA track, not Miss America. I guess the main difference is like Miss America, you have to have like a platform and charity work and community service, and Miss USA, they're just like, we just want you to smile and be pretty. Like, you don't have to have a talent or anything like that. I did that the first year I started doing comedy, which is I believe I was the only stand-up comedian in the entire beauty pageant. I may be the only stand-up comedian in any beauty pageant ever. I'm not quite sure, but I might actually be. That was a weird thing. I used to be very overweight growing up, and I had actually gone through the process of losing the weight. I believe sort of in total, I mean, my weight fluctuated. In total, I lost about 65 pounds. It was kind of a challenge to myself to see if, you know, oh, can I get in a swimsuit? You know, I spent most of my teenage years not even where I went to the beach, so I was like, can I do this? And it was, I found it to be kind of an interesting experience because I was there surrounded by all these girls that were either current high school cheerleaders in the teen division or former high school cheerleaders in the adult division that I was in. And I was just like, I don't belong here. Like, I didn't look like I didn't fit in necessarily. I mean, you know, but me, I just wasn't, I didn't belong. And I actually, after the second night of the pageant and after the whole thing was over, and I, of course, didn't win or anything, I actually went to an open mic comedy show just to hang out and kind of get away. And I walked in and I was just like, God, I do not look like I belong here at all, but I feel like this is the right place for me. Like, this just feels like I should be here.
I have bad luck with men. Like, really bad luck with men. And like, people tell me it's because I picked the wrong men, but I don't think it's that simple, because it's not like I've got like Brad Pitt and the crackhead on the corner and I'm like, which one do I want, you know? Like, I'm just going with the guys that are asking me out, and I tend to get asked out by losers. That's not the funny part. I actually asked my friend the other day, I'm like, why don't nice guys ever ask me out? And she's like, oh my God, you know what it is? It's because you're so pretty that nice guys are intimidated by you. That's how blondes talk to each other, sorry, don't worry about it. No, basically, I mean, I like any answer that involves someone telling me that I'm pretty. I'm very vain. But what I don't get is, why aren't the losers intimidated by me? What is it about a guy with a car and a job? It's like, nope, she's out of my league. But a guy with like no teeth just got out of prison, it's like, yeah, I think I could get her.
Well, I took a class. I took an adult ed class when I started, you know, kind of thinking that I wanted to try stand-up. I mean, obviously, I went into stand-up. I was an actress. I liked comedic acting. I was like, hey, I'll just write a 5-minute routine. I'll go up on stage. I'll be cute and quirky, and someone will just hand me a sitcom, and I'll be the next Roseanne, only, you know, blonde. And obviously, it takes a lot more work than that. And basically, our graduation from that class was to do a 5-minute set at the Comedy Studio in Harvard Square. And I did that. It's mostly friends and family. I had a good set, which it's a very supportive audience, so they kind of ease you into it. But I did really well, and you know, Rick Jenkins, the owner of the Comedy Studio, was like, if you'd like to come back, you know, I'll have you back. And I met some other comics that told me about some other open mics and stuff, and I mean, I caught the bug. I mean, it's weird. Comedy is, I don't know if I can say this, but comedy is I guess like being a crackhead. Like, once you get a hit of it, it's like you keep wanting to go back for more. Like, once you get up on stage and you get that laugh, you want it. Like, it's like in your blood, and you start fiending for it. I've never been a crackhead. I just want to make that very clear.
But I used to be really against the whole idea of like guys going to strip clubs, but I had an experience recently that made me kind of rethink that. I drove by a strip club the other day, and they had a sign out front that said, now serving Heineken Light. I was like, finally! I mean,
The two main keys to comedy are just writing material and performing it. And if you just keep doing that and you do it as much as possible, hopefully you get better.
But I don't know if you guys know this, but this last election was actually the only time that a black man could beat a white woman, and everybody's like really happy about it.
As a female comic, that's the one area where I think women have it a little bit easier than men. because I think the male ego can get in the way sometime, and I've seen male comics bomb, and literally, like, you have to talk them off a ledge. When they get off the stage, it's like they're ready to run in front of the next bus, and they don't care. You don't really earn a living in Boston being an actress or comedian, and I was a communications major in college. We didn't really have a lot of broadcasting classes. Communications was kind of more of like the liberal arts choice in my college, and I was just like, I like being in front of the camera. Maybe I could do something that was a little bit more stable here and there. Not that broadcasting is not stable, but I decided to go to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. A lot of comics do radio stuff to supplement their comedy, or doing something on TV and getting my name out there. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy getting to interview people. I'm a big fan of Chelsea Handler, who does her show on E!, which is basically, she's a female comedian, which is awesome that there's a female comedian on late night TV. I mean, that's like a big thing for the female comedy community. And, she gets to interview people, and she gets to do sort of an opening monologue and everything. And I would love to be a part of that. I mean, obviously I don't do hard news here, but, I do more serious stuff, but, not all interviews and not all news has to be serious, it's all entertainment.
I think you're having a bad time with men when, like, a girl steals your boyfriend and all you can think is, what does she see in him?
I like to think of myself as an entertainer, and I like to entertain people, and this is just another way to do it.
It's actually interesting because when I was little, every time I would say something that would make my dad laugh, he'd look at me and he'd be like, "Oh, honey, you are so funny. You have found your calling. You are going to grow up to be a stand-up comedian." Yeah. And I know right now, while I'm on stage shocking you guys, that he's sitting at home right now going, "Lawyer, I should have said lawyer." Thank you guys very much. You guys have been wonderful. I'm turning it back over to your host.
Very good.
Thank you, dear.
Sarah was talking about sports, and I know the Super Bowl is next weekend.